Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's broadcast. I'm so glad you're here for my Emotional Intelligence in You broadcast. Tonight we're going to talk about something called the Imposter Syndrome. And I came upon this recently, and then I found out after doing some research on it that actually the name of this has actually been here for a while. It was discovered in the 70s, I believe. But maybe recently, like many things now, they put like a new label on it, and then you get something that seems fresh and new, but it's actually been around for a while. It kind of fascinates me, but before I get into it, just want to say thanks again for being here. Please subscribe if you can to my channel. It really means a lot, and trying to build up that base. So if you want to hit that subscriber button, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're listening as a recording, thanks again for that too, but always feel free to join live. My broadcast is every Thursday night at 8 o'clock. For the last 2 weeks, I've been off on vacation, but I'm excited to be back here and facing you here on my screen. So this connects a little bit to previous weeks. I've been talking about confidence, how to build it up, how to maintain confidence, how to get confidence, even if you feel like you don't have any. So tonight, we're talking about, I guess, being genuine and how that can be challenged. How can that can be challenging for some people? Being yourself is another way to put it. And so I think many of us struggle to get that real feeling of comfort in front of others when we're performing. Often we second guess ourselves, or we might get stage fright, or we just might get really self-conscious about it. Then our emotions kind of come in, self-doubt creeps in, and soon what we're intending to do, even though we practice it very hard and are really good at it, can come undone a little bit, or it might not go the way we hope it would, or the way we expect it would, because our emotions, sometimes our anxiety gets in there, and that overtakes us. So I'm just here to talk a little bit about that. I don't really have too much of a meditative thing, although I may try something at the end here. I think people really like that, as some of the feedback I'm getting. But just a bit of background on this. So the imposter syndrome is really about when someone is suffering a sense of low self-esteem. They're coming from a place of low self-esteem, and this low self-esteem can then bring down one's self-confidence. So when you're ready to perform something, let's say you have to give a talk in front of some other people, or you're ready to hear some feedback from a teacher, or it could be something else. It could be some sports. It could be, a recital or a dance routine. Whatever it is, in front of other people is usually when this happens. And what we do is we try to compensate or overcompensate for a lack of self-confidence, a lack of belief in who we are, that we can actually do this. And we hold this belief, and it's been around there for a while. We have this belief that other people perceive us as being more competent or even smarter than we actually think we are inside. So we hold a lower, it's like holding a lower opinion of ourselves, but maintaining this facade of not having it all together, or having it all together. So we try to project that we are greater than what we think we are. That's another way of looking at it. So as you might imagine, this can take a lot of energy to kind of keep up this appearance. I think of Halloween. I think of, like, when we put on a disguise, we want to be someone else for a little while. But the problem with this is that we don't take off the mask. We kind of just keep on wearing it indefinitely, because we really don't want other people to really notice what we really are. Again, this is our own thoughts and beliefs. I'm just going to check here, make sure everyone's seeing this okay on my phone. So I hope that makes sense, is that it's this idea that we are not what other people believe us to be. We're actually less. We hold this a lower self-esteem, lower self-concept. When in fact, in reality, we are much closer to what other people think we are. We are very capable, and we are very, competent and smart. So that's my little Halloween thing. Is like we keep this mask on. So whenever something comes up where we are preparing to be in front of others, or we think we're going to be challenged, and we have to keep this kind of going, right? We have to keep this image of ourselves that we think is out there, that we believe other people hold of us. We have to keep this, going. It can't come down. So or the curtains can't go up. So we see behind. If you might imagine that takes a lot of work, a lot of energy. So how do you know if you may have a little bit of this? Well, one of the things is you over prepare for things. You want to make sure, to the very last dot, that everything has been covered so that nothing, as much as possible, nothing can go wrong. Because if it does, then there's that opportunity for someone to look through behind the curtain and see that, maybe that what they thought is not really as true. But again, this is your own fear. So that's one sign. Another thing is that people like this are very successful. Actually, they're very, very smart, very accomplished people. And they tend to be very perfectionist about certain things. So it's very hard to make mistakes, because a little mistake can actually be another way that people might begin to question, you. So it's a fear. You got to keep this wall perfect, right? This protective kind of shield up. So being perfectionist, over preparing, that type of thing might be a sign that someone may have this a bit. But in general, it's someone usually that is overly achieving too. Another sort of hallmark is this someone really is achieving too much, and as soon as they're done with one project or one thing, they're already planning the next thing. The reason is because the projects and work that they do, even if it commands a lot of respect and attention, awards or whatever, it just doesn't hold up. It's not enough for the person who suffers in this way that I'm describing, because again, they have to keep building that facade, keep building that image of themselves. But it's only internally that they feel that other people might discover them. It's very different than reality. So imagine that too, for people that you may know who have this, they might come across sometimes as being overachievers. That means they just want to do one thing after another, because their last success was just that. It's not enough, and they have to keep on doing more and more. So I kind of felt a little bad about this. I started to think about people I know, people that I've come across, and I want to help these type of people. And so that's part of this broadcast, is to kind of educate and help people with this. So I guess, what do you do? What do you do if you know someone, or you think you may have this kind of thing? And as always, there's some great news. Well, here we go. Okay, I have a list. And one of them is not surprising to me. And one way to treat this, or at least lessen the effects of it, is to be gracious and have gratitude for everything that you do well, because it makes you more focused. So if you focus on the gratitude part and being thankful, it tends to shift the attention a little bit away from performance, but just something that you can be thankful for. So not maybe if you cook something that you felt was a masterpiece that maybe didn't have the exact right flavor to it or something, you might not focus as much on the part that didn't taste completely perfect to you, but the fact that your guests really liked it. So that's one thing. That's an example. I don't know if that's any good, but my example is there. Another really good one here is to stop comparing. So the more we compare, the more we feel like we have to get better than we are. Like there's just never an end to that, right? We just always find another way to be more, another person who's gone further, and another, you know, uh, I guess, challenge that can mean that you have to go more. So comparing to others doesn't help. It always makes us feel like what our accomplishment is less. Um, what else can you do? Well, one of the things that I really think is great is you can question these thoughts, right? So a couple of weeks ago, I talked about this inner critic. We can really look at these thoughts and say, hey, wait a minute. Are you really, hey, if your name is just Joe, are you really that bad when it comes to math? Can you not calculate? Or are you really that, I guess, shy? Or, these kinds of thoughts that you have, these self-limiting beliefs. So start to question those beliefs when you have them, because those are the beliefs that are really be the foundation that hold up this and keep this facade going of yourself, which is so hard. So the more you can question the credibility of them, the better off I think you can be in learning that they're just most of this is just thoughts, your own thoughts that have come about. And just a couple others here I got on my list here. One of them I found was kind of interesting in my research was let down your guard as much as you can and try to let people see the real you. And I thought, well, that's good if you can do it. But taking that first step is probably the hardest part, is letting down your guard, because that's doing the very thing which will expose you. Because if you fear that other people will see that you're not as blah, 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 or whatever to them, then that can be very, I don't know, I guess maybe not motivate you to do that as much. In other words, if you think that you're going to let your guard down, now they may notice you. But I think what they're driving at here is try to let people see a little bit of the genuine you as much as possible, and maybe in little ways. And then last of all, I think maybe perhaps the most important here of all is to practice, mindfulness. And so you notice that when you have thoughts of your self-limitations, and you are trying and fighting hard to prepare something that you make sure that you do well in and that you succeed in and that you do everything possible. If you notice that you're over preparing, or you're feeling like you're doing things and you can't make mistakes, you're being hard on yourself. But if you can notice that these times when you're doing these things, you can notice that you might have a choice in attaching to one of these thoughts, or doing some work around it, some mindfulness meditation around it, to actually just see it as something outside of yourself, more of a thought, but not over identifying with thought, so that the thought doesn't become something that you're overly tied to, because that can then make you feel that's who you are. So the thoughts are just thoughts, and they're not really who you are. Through some mindfulness practice techniques, I think you'll gain some awareness and hopefully some self-compassion in there. And another thing that just came to my mind, and this is the last one, and that is, if you know somebody or you feel this way, it's really helpful to actually talk to someone about this, to let other people know, hey, I have this thing about me that I gotta be this way, because, and I don't know if I don't do it, people might not really, or I might not, see who I really am, a smart, good, moral person, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be smart. It can be whatever it is that you're trying to keep people still believing in. So I think sharing with other people is really helpful, and letting your guard down, if you can actually show you that you could still be okay if, you make some mistakes, and people can still appreciate you and value you and find you very competent in whatever field of work or line of work you're doing in, even if they might even see you as more competent, more humane, if you can make a mistake or two and be compassionate to yourself. All right, so Yeah, tonight I don't have a mindfulness practice, so most of it was just talk, but I hope you got something out of tonight and can pass this along. And please, if you could remember, just subscribe. And I'm a life coach in San Francisco. I work with career and relationships. Those are my two specialties. But if anyone you know is in need of some help in these areas, I'd be happy to help. All right, I'm going to sign off tonight. Take care. Good luck.